I stared at the brochure on my kitchen table. Serenity Meadows Memory Care, where every day brings new hope. The glossy photos showed elderly people in pastel sweaters playing checkers, their smiles vacant, their eyes empty. My son David had left it there 3 days ago, circled in red marker, 24/7 specialized care for cognitive decline. The problem was, I didn't have cognitive decline. I'm Evelyn Martinez, 70 years old, retired high school psychology teacher, widowed for 2 years. My mind is as sharp as it was when I defended my doctoral thesis 43 years ago. Sharper, maybe, because I've learned that intelligence without experience is just potential, and I've had 7 decades to turn that potential into something formidable. But my son and his wife had decided otherwise. It started small. 6 months ago, Rachel, my daughter-in-law, began finishing my sentences at family dinners. Mom was just saying she's tired. Weren't you, Mom? When I'd paused to gather my thoughts, David started speaking louder, as if volume could penetrate some imaginary fog around my brain. They exchanged meaningful glances when I forgot where I'd put my reading glasses. Never mind that I'd been misplacing those same glasses since 1987. Then came the incident with the stove. I'd left a pot of water boiling while I ran out to get the mail. Came back to steam filling the kitchen and Rachel standing there with her arms crossed, David behind her looking grave. "Mom, this could have been a fire," she said, her voice dripping with concern that felt more like accusation. "What if you'd forgotten completely? What if you'd gone upstairs?" I'd been boiling water for tea for 50 years. One distraction, one moment of being human, and suddenly, I was a danger to myself. The real tell was when David started asking about my finances. "Mom, maybe it's time we simplified things. Combined accounts, made sure everything's organized. Just in case. Just in case of what? Just in case they could access my money more easily?" I'd taught adolescent psychology for 30 years. I knew manipulation when I saw it. This wasn't concern. This was a campaign. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening. David called, his voice carefully casual. "Hey, Mom, Rachel and I want to take you to dinner tomorrow. There's something we'd like to discuss." I knew what that meant. I'd seen this exact scenario play out with my colleague Martha 5 years ago. Her daughter took her to a family dinner, ambushed her with an elder care consultant, had her signing papers before dessert arrived. Martha spent her last 3 years in a locked ward, her daughter driving her Mercedes, paid for by Martha's liquidated retirement accounts. Not me. Never me. That night, I sat in my late husband Robert's study, surrounded by his books on contract law. He'd been an attorney for 40 years before the heart attack took him. I ran my fingers along the spines of his reference books and made a decision. If they wanted to play games with my competency, I'd play too. But I'd play to win. Wednesday morning, I called Dr. Sarah Chen, my physician of 15 years. "Sarah, I need a favor. A comprehensive cognitive evaluation. Everything. Memory tests, executive function, the works. And I need it documented thoroughly." She was quiet for a moment. "Evelyn, is everything okay?" "It will be. I just need proof of what we both know, that my mind is fine." The evaluation took 4 hours. Spatial reasoning, verbal memory, problem solving, attention span. Dr. Chen threw everything at me. When we finished, she sat back with a smile. "Evelyn, you're performing at the cognitive level of someone 30 years younger. Your recall is exceptional. There is absolutely no indication of any degenerative condition." "Put that in writing," I said. "Detailed, clinical, something that would hold up in court." Her smile faded. "What's going on?" I told her. About David and Rachel, about the memory care brochure, about the family dinner tomorrow night. Dr. Chen's jaw tightened. "That's elder abuse. Financial exploitation. You could report them." "I could," I agreed. "But I have a better idea." Next stop, James Chen, the attorney my husband used to play golf with. James was in his 60s now, sharp-eyed and shrewd. I laid out the situation. "They're building a case for incompetency," he said immediately. Classic pattern. Isolate, undermine, create a narrative of decline, then move for guardianship or conservatorship. Once they have legal control, your assets become theirs to manage or mismanage. Can they actually do that? If they get a sympathetic judge and a questionable medical evaluation? Possibly. It's harder than it used to be, but it happens. Especially if you don't fight back. I'm fighting back. James leaned forward. Good. Here's what we'll do. We spent 3 hours restructuring everything. My living trust, updated with ironclad provisions. Medical directives that specified exactly who could and couldn't make decisions about my care. A power of attorney that went to James, not David. Financial accounts separated and protected. Everything documented, witnessed, notarized. One more thing, I said. I want to move. Out of state. Somewhere they can't easily get to me. James didn't even blink. Where? Costa Rica. There's an American retirement community in Atenas. Beautiful climate, lower cost of living, excellent health care. I've been researching it for months. That was a lie. I'd been researching it for exactly 3 days, since the memory care brochure appeared. But it was a good lie. And it felt right. I can help with that, James said. Residency visa, property search, financial transfers. Give me 2 weeks. I need it done in 1. He raised an eyebrow. Ambitious. I'm 70, James. I don't have time to be cautious anymore. Thursday dinner arrived. David and Rachel picked me up at 6:30, all smiles and light conversation. We went to the River House, an upscale restaurant overlooking the marina. The kind of place you take someone when you want them relaxed and off guard. Rachel ordered wine. David insisted I try the special. It's your favorite, Mom, remember? Even though I'd never ordered duck in my life. They were so busy performing concern that they didn't notice me watching them, cataloging every manipulation, every false note. Midway through the appetizers, David cleared his throat. Mom, Rachel and I have been talking. We're worried about you. Here it comes. Living alone in that big house, trying to maintain everything by yourself. We think it might be time to consider some alternatives, safer options. Rachel leaned in, her hand covering mine. Her nails were perfect, professionally done. We toured Serenity Meadows yesterday. It's beautiful. Evelyn, private rooms, activities, a full medical staff. You'd have everything you need. Memory care, I said flatly. David shifted uncomfortably. It's specialized assisted living, Mom, for people who need a little extra support. I don't need support. Mom, you left the stove on last week, and you've been forgetting things, missing appointments. We're just trying to help. I set down my fork carefully. I left water boiling for 3 minutes while I got the mail. I've missed 1 dentist appointment in the past year because I wrote down the wrong date. These are normal human errors, not signs of dementia. Rachel's smile tightened. Of course, you don't think there's a problem. That's part of the condition, Evelyn. Lack of awareness. We've talked to specialists, without me, and they all agree that early intervention is crucial. The best thing we can do is get you into a safe environment now, before something serious happens. I looked at David, my son, the boy I'd raised, put through college, supported through his divorce, the man who was now sitting across from me, trying to convince me I was losing my mind so he could control my assets. And my house? I asked quietly. David and Rachel exchanged a glance. We'd have to sell it, David said. The proceeds would go toward your care. Serenity Meadows is expensive, but it's worth it. You deserve the best. The best. Right. At $15,000 a month, my savings would last maybe 6 years. And then what? Would they keep me around when the money ran out? I need to use the restroom, I said, standing. In the bathroom, I leaned against the sink and breathed. This was it. The moment they'd been building toward. If I said yes, even tentatively, they'd have momentum. Brochures would become tours, would become signatures, would become locked doors and controlled medications, and a slow fade into institutional oblivion. I pulled out my phone and texted James. It's happening. Tomorrow. His response was immediate. Everything's ready. I returned to the table. David and Rachel watched me expectantly, vultures waiting for the wounded animal to fall. I'll think about it, I said. Relief flooded Rachel's face. That's all we ask. We can schedule a tour for next week, just to see the facility. No pressure. But there was pressure. So much pressure. I could feel it in every word, every look, every carefully constructed sentence designed to push me toward surrender. I smiled and let them drive me home. Let them hug me goodbye. Let them think they were winning. Then I closed the door and got to work. Friday morning, I called a moving company. I need professional packers and movers. Everything in this house needs to be in storage by Monday. The woman on the phone hesitated. Ma'am, that's very short notice. We typically require at least 2 weeks. I'll pay double your rates. I need this done immediately. Money, I'd learned, was excellent at creating urgency. By Friday afternoon, my house was chaos. Boxes everywhere, movers wrapping furniture, asking endless questions about what went where. I kept my bedroom and Robert's study untouched, those I'd pack myself. Everything else could go into storage until I figured out what to do with it. David called twice. I let it go to voicemail. Rachel texted, "Just checking in. How are you feeling about our conversation? Ready for that tour?" I deleted it. Saturday, I went to the bank. Closed my joint account with David, the one I'd opened years ago for emergencies. Transferred everything to my personal accounts. The bank manager looked concerned. "Mrs. Martinez, are you sure? These are significant changes. I'm 70, not senile. Process the transfers." At home, James had sent over documents. Visa application for Costa Rica, approved. Property listings in Atenas, 3 options in my price range. Flight booked for Wednesday morning. Bank accounts set up internationally. Everything official, legal, irrevocable. I sat in Robert's study that night, surrounded by boxes, and felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. Free. Sunday morning, David showed up unannounced. I heard his key in the lock I'd given him 1 year ago, never thinking he'd use it to ambush me. He walked in to find stacks of boxes, rolled carpets, furniture tagged with moving labels. "Mom? What's going on?" I came down the stairs, coffee in hand, completely calm. "I'm moving." His face went pale. "Moving? Where?" "That's not your concern." "Not my mom. What are you talking about? You can't just move. We need to discuss this. You're not thinking clearly." And there it was. The accusation. Spoken plainly now that he was scared. "I'm thinking very clearly, David. Clearer than I have in months. I'm thinking that my son and his wife have been trying to manipulate me into giving up my independence and my assets. I'm thinking that you brought me brochures for memory care facilities when I have no cognitive impairment. I'm thinking that you've been gaslighting me, undermining me, building a case to have me declared incompetent. That's not where trying to help you. Help me into an institution so you can sell my house and access my money? That kind of help?" Rachel appeared in the doorway behind him, her face flushed. "Evelyn, you're being paranoid. This is exactly what we're worried about. You're not making sense." I pulled out a folder from the side table. Medical reports from Dr. Chen. Cognitive evaluation results. All dated, all official. I had a comprehensive evaluation done 3 days ago. Perfect cognitive function. No memory impairment. No signs of dementia or any degenerative condition. It's all documented here, and copies have been filed with my attorney, my doctor, and will be sent to Adult Protective Services if you continue this harassment. David stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. You went to a doctor? I'm not stupid, David. I recognized what you were doing. The concerned looks, the finished sentences, the exaggerated reactions to normal mistakes. You were building a narrative. Well, here's the truth. I'm fine. More than fine. And I'm leaving. Leaving where? Rachel demanded. You can't just disappear. We're your family. Family doesn't try to steal your autonomy. Family doesn't manipulate you into institutions for financial gain. We weren't. Stop lying. My voice cracked like a whip. I taught psychology for 30 years. I know every manipulation tactic in the book. I've seen this exact pattern play out with other seniors. The concerned children, the subtle undermining, the push toward care facilities that drain bank accounts. I know what you were doing, and it's over. David's face crumpled. For a moment, I saw my little boy, the one who used to crawl into my lap during thunderstorms. Then, his expression hardened into something ugly. You're making a huge mistake. You're 70 years old. You can't take care of yourself forever. I'm taking care of myself right now, better than you ever did. Where are you going? Rachel asked again, her voice sharp. I smiled. Somewhere you'll never find me unless I want to be found. Somewhere I can live the rest of my life with dignity, on my terms, without waiting for you to decide I'm too inconvenient to keep around. I handed David an envelope. This is from my attorney. It outlines the updated terms of my living trust. You're still my beneficiary, but there are conditions now. If you attempt to contest my competency, if you try to access my finances, if you harass me in any way, the trust will be dissolved and everything will go to charity. Every penny. His hands shook as he took it. Mom, please. Let's talk about this. We're done talking. You made your choice when you started treating me like a problem to solve instead of a person to respect. Now I'm making mine. I walked to the door and opened it. Leave. And don't come back unless you're invited. They left. Rachel was crying. David looked shell-shocked. I felt nothing but relief. Monday, the movers finished. Tuesday, I signed the storage paperwork. My house sold to a young couple, cash offer, closing in 30 days. James had found a buyer through his network, someone who wouldn't ask questions or delay. Tuesday night, I packed my suitcases. 2 bags. Clothes, photos, Robert's wedding ring, my mother's pearl necklace. Everything that mattered fit in 2 bags. The rest was just stuff. Wednesday morning, I woke up at 4 a.m., called an Uber to the airport. Left my house key on the kitchen counter with a note for the new owners. Welcome home. May you fill it with better memories than the ones I'm leaving behind. At the airport, I texted David. I'm leaving the country. Don't look for me. I'll contact you when and if I'm ready. I love you, but I won't let you control me. Maybe someday you'll understand that love and control are not the same thing. Mom. Then I turned off my phone. The flight to Costa Rica was long. I slept most of it. The kind of deep sleep I hadn't had in months. When I woke up, we were descending through clouds, and below me was green. So much green, mountains and valleys, and a landscape that looked nothing like the flat, brown California valley I'd left behind. James had arranged everything. A car waiting at the airport, a furnished rental house in Atenas, month-to-month lease while I looked for something permanent, a local attorney who spoke perfect English, a welcome packet with information about residency requirements, healthcare options, social groups for expats. The house was small. 2 bedrooms, a garden with mango trees, a view of the mountains. Simple furniture, clean lines, nothing like the cluttered accumulation of 50 years in one place. I stood on the porch that first evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors I'd never seen in California. Somewhere, David was probably calling my old number, getting the disconnected message. Rachel was probably plotting how to track me down. They'd figure it out eventually. Costa Rica wasn't exactly a secret, and James would have to tell them something. But by then, I'd be settled, established, surrounded by legal protections and an ocean of distance. My phone, new number, new carrier, buzzed. A text from James. Arrived safely? Yes. It's beautiful. Good. Your first residency check-in is next Tuesday. I sent the details to your email. The house sale closes in 3 weeks. Funds will be transferred to your Costa Rica accounts as soon as it's final. Thank you, James, for everything. Robert would be proud of you. Evelyn. What you did took courage. I looked at the mountains, at the fading light, at the life I'd chosen instead of the one they'd tried to choose for me. I choose dignity, I typed back. Even if it means choosing it alone. But I wasn't alone. Not really. I had my mind, sharp and clear and entirely my own. I had my freedom. I had a future that belonged to me. 2 months later, I bought a house. 3 bedrooms, because why not? A garden where I could grow vegetables. Close enough to town to walk, far enough away to have privacy. I joined a book club, made friends with other expats and locals, started volunteering at a school, teaching English to kids who reminded me why I'd loved teaching in the first place. David sent emails, first angry, then confused, then finally months later apologetic. I didn't understand. I thought we were helping. I'm sorry. I didn't respond right away. Let him sit with it. Let him wonder if he'd lost me forever. Finally, on what would have been Robert's 75th birthday, I wrote back, David, I don't know if we can repair what was broken. Trust, once shattered, doesn't glue back together cleanly, but I'm willing to try, on one condition. You accept that I am the author of my own life. I make my own decisions. I define my own competence. I choose my own future. If you can respect that, truly respect it, not just say the words, then maybe we can find our way back to each other. But if you can't, if you still see me as someone who needs to be managed rather than someone who deserves to be respected, then we have nothing left to say. I love you. I always will. But I love myself more. And that's not something I'm willing to compromise. Not for you. Not for anyone. Mom. He called 2 days later. We talked for an hour. He cried. I cried. We didn't fix everything. Some things can't be fixed in one conversation. But it was a start. I'm 71 now. I wake up to mountains and birdsong. I spend my mornings reading on the porch. My afternoons teaching kids who call me Professora Evelyn. My evenings cooking meals that I alone decide to make. Sometimes I think about that brochure. Serenity Meadows Memory Care, where every day brings new hope. I found my new hope. But I found it by leaving, not by staying. By choosing dignity over convenience. By refusing to let fear, theirs or mine, dictate the terms of my existence. I'm not saying everyone should move to Costa Rica. I'm not saying every family is like mine. But I am saying this. Your life belongs to you. Your mind belongs to you. Your dignity belongs to you. And anyone who tries to take those things away, even with the best intentions, even with concern in their voices and tears in their eyes, they don't get to win. You do. Because in the end, the only person who gets to decide when you're done living your life on your own terms is you. And I wasn't done. I'm still not done. Not even close.